This happened to me about a month ago. It was a very cold and dark winter's night with a hint of rain. I'm currently living in the US at the moment, as I've just got a job. It is my first time living this far away from my family. My walk home was like any other, peaceful and calm. But on this night, I was walking home to my apartment, and I had to walk through a fairly large park. I know it was a risk walking by myself at midnight through this park, but the weather was bliss, cold, quiet, with a hint of rain. I was halfway into my walk home, and I noticed on the opposite side a man, in his 30s, who looked very thin, from what I could make out anyway, that was just passing by. At first, I thought he was walking home from his job as well. However, some small amount of time, he stopped in his path, and looked right at me. I didn't know what to make out of this, but it felt very real. We crossed paths, and I must add, I'm not easily scared by people when they act weird in front of me. However, this man was very close to me at this point, and he said, "Aren't you cold?" Which I said back, "No, I'm quite warm, thanks." As he drew near, I quickly looked at his hands to see if he was holding anything that could maybe harm me. As I say, I'm not the easily scared type, but if a stranger approaches me, I always check their hands to see if I'm safe. He then lifted his arm, as if we were some sort of long-lost friends, as if he wanted to hug me. I didn't see the reason for him to do that, so when I felt his hands approaching, I got pretty defensive and told him to get lost. This only made him weirder. As I started to walk again, and as I passed him, he said this, "I'm looking for the dog," he told me, "that has escaped his house." I said back, "A dog? No, I haven't seen one." He then laughed under his breath, which left me to say back to him, "What type of dog is it? I might have seen it back at the park entrance." I said this to see what he'd say back to me. He looks at me right in the eye, and at this point, I could see his face through the park lights. He then says, he said he'd help me, and he does many things. This to me was a massive red flag, and I told him I hadn't seen his dog, and I carried on walking. As I was walking, I turned around to see if I was being followed by him, but he went into a small alley that leads to a path that meets mine by a small path cross-section. Since I could still see this man, I kept turning around to keep a track on him. I then noticed him behind some bushes, pulling something out from his pocket. Something inside of me clicked and told me to run. As I started running, I could hear his footsteps gain on me. While he was running, he was making demented laughter. As I finally made it to the park entrance, I turned around to see if he was still there, only to be stumped by him completely gone. I made it back to my apartment complex in one piece. As I go to open my door, I notice the door is somewhat slightly opened, and then I hear